continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington, Patricia Morrow as Rita Harrington, James Douglas as Stephen Cord.
Eddie Jacks has been a loser for too long. Today, he's determined to win. Twice, he's approached his daughter Rita in an effort to re-enter her life. And twice, she's turned him away. Now, Eddie knows he must gamble everything on a different approach, or be shut out of Rita's life forever.
What? I'd like to talk to you. I'm Eddie Jacks.
We don't have anything to talk about.
Please, son, it'll only take a minute of your time.
Hey, Al, take over for me, will you?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I don't know just how to begin this. I was hoping maybe with a handshake.
I don't think so.
Okay. Say, I was surprised to see you working out here. I kind of figured you'd come into the business higher up.
Well, you figured wrong.
I'm not knocking it, you understand. I admire you for it. And besides, you'll be much better off when you do take over, knowing how things feel out here.
That's the way I think. A good general has to know what's in the heart of his men. Now, if you don't mind, I have to go back to work.
And Norman, I don't expect you to like me.
Good, because I don't.
I did a rotten thing. I know it even better than you.
And Rita knows it better than both of us. What I want to know is, what kind of talent does it take to walk out on someone like that? Someone who needs you.
Talent? Having my own way, I guess. Well, I'm having a good time.
You said it.
I was the world's champ.
Was?
Well, I got myself a little more by the range now.
Fully for you. And in the meantime, Rita had a lifetime of going through everything in life that a kid can. And yet she still ended up all right.
I never looked that far ahead. In those days, it seems to me I was worried about life passing me by. I was afraid of getting old without having any fun.
I hope you had enough fun to make up for what you did to her. And I hope you just leave her alone.
All I want is just a chance to get to know her a little, that's all. That's not asking too much, is it?
And what if you decide to move on again?
Maybe I won't.
But what if you get the urge? You're not going to let her feelings stop you, are you?
I don't know.
Well, I don't want to take the chance.
Well, I know she's been sick. If there's any way that I could help...
You can't. By just leaving her alone.
Well, she's going to be all right, isn't she?
I'd like to think so.
Well, anyway, I'm glad that she does have somebody who can take care of her.
She sure does. And it isn't easy. Because she doesn't know a thing one about taking care of herself. It takes someone like a father.
Yeah. Well, I won't keep you. Thanks for giving me your time.
No problem.
There's just one thing I want to say. I envy you, Norman. You're a man already. Much more so than I've ever been.
Come in, Mr. Peyton. Come in.
Make it sound as if I had a
Choice. Thank you, Miss Henry. Let me know as soon as the results are ready. Thank you. Well, sit down, sir. Oh, Mr. Peyton, I'd like to introduce Dr.
William Riley. Haven't we met several years ago?
I'm flattered you remember, Mr. Peyton.
You used to work with Philip Van Leyden, didn't you?
That's right. Your supporters have made that project work.
Oh, my contributions were not entirely philanthropic, as I expect Dr. Rossi probably told you.
Well, no, Mr. Peyton, I invited Dr. Riley here to see you. Actually, it had nothing to do with your present condition. He was with Philip Van Leyden a few hours before he died.
Philip Van Leyden was my friend. I like to remember him as a dignified man he was. I thought I'd made myself clear on that subject.
You did, sir.
And I'm unable to share your obsession of trying to discover the reasons that made poor Philip decide to take his life.
Philip Van Leyden did not take his own life.
Dr. Rossi, I'm not interested. Let me have the results of those reports.
Mr. Peyton, perhaps you would be interested if you knew that the night he died, Philip Van Leyden told Dr. Riley how important life had become to him.
Oh. You mean he was in good spirits?
Yes.
How long were you with him?
The whole evening. He came down to my home to wish me good luck on a lecture tour. Philip drove down to see Dr. Riley. He hadn't been outside of the house for weeks before.
I take it he was a good friend of yours?
The best anyone could wish for.
Then what would be so unusual about him coming to your farewell party?
Well, there wasn't any party. That is, there wasn't any until he came. Well, you tell him.
Well, he had a couple of bottles of champagne with him, and he insisted that we open them and drink them right there.
That with him? But he definitely mentioned her during the evening.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was the first time that he spoke of her in a positive way for quite a while.
Are you trying to tell us they had problems?
They might.
And you're suggesting those problems might have caused his depression?
That would be my guess.
Guess, did you say?
Well,
Then it might also be your guess that Mrs. Van Leyden might have been responsible for his new attitude to life that you say he displayed during that evening.
Quite on the contrary. As a matter of fact, he said...
Yes. Adrienne has a wonderful gift of brightening an older man's world. She has mine, you know. I'm going to marry her.
Dr. Rossi told.
Oh, did he? Yes. Junior code of ethics, if I may say so. It prevents you discussing my physical condition, but not my personal life. Thank you for taking the time to tell me about Philip. I'm relieved to know he had some happy moments before he left us. Please. Yes, sir. I'll be talking to you later, Dr. Rossi.
I'll be with you. Mr. Peyton, less than 24 hours before he died, Philip Van Leyden told Dr. Riley that he was able to face life again. Face himself again as a man, as a scientist.
Does that change anything?
Well, it shows he didn't commit suicide.
His death was never designated as suicide.
But we all thought he did, including you.
What do you think now?
I think that Adrienne Van Leyden is a one-woman epidemic, and I don't want you to be on the expert.
Let me tell you something, my good friend, unconditionally. I never have been, I am not now, and never intend to be anyone's victim.
Mr. Peyton.
What?
Mr. Peyton, he forgot to help.
Oh, thank you. Done a good day's job.
Thanks, Cousin. Could I ask you something?
You're giving though. I'm going to have to cut it.
It'll only take a minute.
You're coming out?
Yeah, but I don't know.
I wanted to know what it was like for you when you came back to town after being away so many years.
Oh, Lisa. Holy smoke. That's such a long story. Listen, I'll be out of the courtroom in about an hour, and then we'll talk.
Now, Mr. Carson, I mean, what was it like between you and Allison after all that time? You came back and she was all grown up?
Well, I don't know what to say. Actually, we had to start from scratch, you see, because Allison didn't know me. And the next thing I know, she began to resent me, but it's different. It's completely different between what's happening to you and your father.
Why is it different? You came back to a daughter you'd never known.
Well,
You know, I hate him for lots of reasons. But he's my father.
well, then I think you ought to open up to him, let him know how you feel.
I did, sort of. But I don't know if I want to let him become a part of my life. You know?
And then, of course, you're a married woman now. So, home and think that most of your life. And again, you're going to have a baby, too.
But I don't want to punish him either.
Well, then give him a chance.
You know we're not going to get along at all. And as far as Mother's
Well,
concerned,
who says it's going to have to be easy?
he's a complete stranger.
Well, then you got a chance, if you have more of a chance than the rest of us have. If you don't like your father, you can always tell him to get lost. I'll see you later.
Mr. Carson, what would you have done if Allison had said that?
I told you, it's not the same.
Practically the same.
Look, do you want Eddie to come back into your life?
No.
Yes or no?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's why you got me here. That's because you knew what I was going to say, and you knew I'd be simpatico to an ex-con coming into town looking for a family like I was. All right. What do you want me to do?
Well, I don't know. I thought maybe you could...
Oh, you know, perhaps a couple of old jailbirds who would spend some time behind bars. That good old Mr. Carson would solve your problem for you by talking to Eddie,
No, really.
Oh, come on now.
The thought did cross my mind.
Listen, honey. If you want Eddie back in your life, you're going to have to figure it out yourself.
Mr. Carson? I'm scared.
Welcome to the club.
Who is it? All right, Adrienne.
Must you be so formal, Martin? After all, we are engaged.
Don't let it go to your head, my dear.
You looked so hot and tired when you came in.
Perhaps because I am.
Then this will do the trick.
You're exceedingly cheerful.
Aren't you going to ask me why?
I ask you why.
I'm going to Boston tomorrow.
Oh, bored so soon?
Business. Or I should say pleasure. I'm going to have my wedding dress fitted.
Don't be domestic, dear. It doesn't become you.
Oh, come on, Martin. We can't depend on servants all of the time. After all, we will be alone occasionally, you and I.
Oh, yes. And you and Stephen in Boston, eh? You mustn't enjoy this too much.
Is that part of our agreement? That I'm not to enjoy my assignment?
I'll find a way to let Betty know.
Yes, I'm sure you will, Martin. Well, I'm glad that you're pleased with my surprise.
I have a surprise of my own.
Oh?
Yes, I met someone today who knows you.
That seems hard to believe in this town.
As you're up, it's time for my medicine. Would you mind?
Who was it?
No, not that bottle. You can throw that away. It's the green swill. 2 teaspoonfuls in half a glass of water. Dr. Riley.
Dr. Riley? I don't know any Dr. Riley.
Interestingly enough, he saw Philip shortly before he died. Did you know that?
It has slipped my mind.
When it hadn't slipped his, he recalled the incident vividly.
Well, if there's nothing else you want.
Thank you. He agrees with you, my dear. He doesn't think Philip's death was suicide either. He found a change in Philip. He was full of hope, full of enthusiasm. As if he made a monumental decision and was eager to face life again. You don't happen to know what that decision might have been.
No, I'm afraid Philip didn't confide that in me.
So you can appreciate Dr. Riley's sense of relief and shock when he heard only a few hours later of Philip's death. Supposedly suicide.
Well, I'm very gratified that he agrees with me.
You must be very relieved, my dear.
Yes, I am.
I think I'll ask Dr. Riley to dinner one evening, then you and he can pursue the matter further.
That won't be necessary.
There's nothing of it. I want to explore this fully, but you see, if it wasn't suicide, my dear, what was it?